Influence. Leadership. How do you get somebody to listen to you? How do you influence somebody to accomplish the mission that you and them are after? Like, you guys, how many of you guys are leaders? Like, you see yourself as a leader, right? And you have somebody in your family, maybe somebody in your family, somebody at work that you want to influence and you want to help them become a better version of themselves. But they just seem to like push back on you. They don't listen. And it's like you find yourself so frustrated. You pour into these people and they're like immovable objects. How many of you leaders struggle with influence? Because that's what I'm gonna talk to you guys and teach you about today in today's video, is how to create influence in the team that's around you, all right? If you guys are new to the channel, I'm Jeremiah Sullivan. I was a quitter in life, turned my whole life around, became an infantry officer, Army Ranger, infantry commander, ran 100 miles in the Colorado Rockies, got out of the military, built my coaching academy, my leadership and high performance coaching academy. And I help people collapse the timeline to their goals, get body transformations, life transformations, business transformations. Now, you're probably saying, like, why should I, listen to you about influence? Listen, guys, there's really two ways that you're going to influence people, right? And one of the ways is through the position that you're in. Like, if you're their authority, if you are their boss at work, you're going to be able to like make them do stuff, essentially. It's the truth. But there's a different type of what happens when you're not their boss, or maybe you are, but what happens when you have somebody that you really truly want to change and they're not going to change because your position is not enough to cause them to change. How do you dig into somebody and get them to actually make a change in their life? So here's some things that I've done, and this will tell you whether or not you should listen to the rest of the video to help you with your influence. I think some really hard things for people to change is drinking, right? Not drinking, giving up drinking. I help somebody with that. They don't drink anymore. Somebody else, they moved their entire life. One guy moved his life from New York to Florida. He packed everything up into a car and he moved. Another guy went from Texas to Colorado. He uprooted his entire life as well. I had somebody that I coach, they ran like 8 or 9 miles max in their entire life. And they ran a marathon the day that I coached them because that's what they wanted to do. I helped them achieve running a marathon. That's a pretty big change. I had a guy move into his dream home in months when he thought it was going to take years, and it was just a fantasy in his mind. But he made it happen. Then he uprooted his whole life and moved within months. Those are pretty significant things. I think somebody moving their entire life, dropping alcohol, getting in shape. I've taken people to 5% body fat. Those are pretty hard things to do. You can really help people make money pretty easily. People want to make money. They're driven to do it. But to cut body fat and get down to 5% body fat, to change your whole life, to finalize a divorce. I had one lady I worked with. She had been sitting on her divorce paperwork for almost, I think it was 4 or 5 years. And within the first 30 days of us working together, she signed her divorce paperwork. Now listen, some of these people were, I was coaching, some of them were, I wasn't. And I'll tell you this, guys, when it comes to influencing others, like one of the guy that dropped the drink, he obviously made the decision, but I helped him with it. So how do you create these results? How do you get people to drop the drink, get in shape, change their life, move to new states? How do you create massive influence like that with people? Well, the main thing, this is coming from this is my perspective, is one, they have to respect you. If they don't respect you, they're not going to listen to you. So you have to have their respect, which means your reputation with them is very important. People follow people that say what they're going to do and they do it. If you do that enough, they want to listen to you. That's the first thing when it comes to influence, is does the person want to listen to you? And if they don't, why not? Okay, so if you're trying to create leaders, you're trying to create people that you influence to become leaders, rather, you got a team member, somebody at work, somebody in your family, and you're trying to build them up into being a better leader. Do they want to listen to you? Do they respect you? That's the first thing. For these guys, I've never asked somebody to do something that I wouldn't do. These guys that I just gave examples: getting yourself to single-digit body fat, moving your life, dropping the drink. The divorce thing, I guess, is a little bit different, but that required a massive amounts of fear, and that was the real problem. I helped them with the fear of the relationship, and I've been in that situation. So these things, you know, you don't necessarily have to live the exact experiences, but I will tell you, you have to be able to, in order to effectively influence other people, you have to have lived experience in the areas that the personal development areas that they're experiencing. So if you've never confronted your fears, you're never going to be able to help somebody through theirs. You know, people say that, like Vince Lombardi says, that leading by example isn't a way, it's the only way. It's absolutely true. But I'll tell you, when it comes to your influence, I want you guys to think about the people that you're trying to influence. Number one, like I said, do they respect you? Number two, are you an expert in the area? Are you qualified to influence them in the area that they're trying to overcome? Have you done the inner work? Have you done the personal development? Have you overcame that personally in that area? Okay. Now the next piece, once you've done those two things, the last piece is that you have to, this is where a lot of people mess up, is they don't meet the person with where they're at. They don't meet the person with where they're at. Instead, they just tell them what to do. And you have to really get inside of somebody's heart and inside of somebody's mind and understand the best way to do this is to understand their personal and professional goals and their life. If you don't know what that person, if you can't see a picture of what that person's life is like behind your interactions, you really don't know that person. And it's very important for you to get clear about where they're at. Like I did this call with this lady, and she was on a joint call with me, my business partner, and she was going to invest into her a strategy to help her build more wealth, because I have a program for that inside of my coaching academy and partnership. And I'd never met this lady before, but her husband was diagnosed with cancer, and it was still the initial diagnosis, so they weren't 100% sure what was going on. I get on the call with her, and I said, ma'am, I was like, there's nothing scarier than something potentially happening to one of your loved ones, My first conversation with her was acknowledging what the hell was going on in her life. By the end of the call, not only did we work through some of the personal issues, but she felt more at peace with what was going on in her life, and she was ready to take the next step with her wealth, with multiplying her wealth. And my point here is that in order to really get to influence people, you have to meet them with where they're at. People will not remember this, guys. This is the nugget for the video. People will not come to you with their problems until they believe that you can solve them. So you have to really make a person feel seen and heard in order for them to say, hey, this is my issue, this is what I need help with. And that's really what you're looking for when it comes to influence, is you're trying to create, through conversation, through understanding them, earning their respect, overcoming their problems, you're trying to get this person to lean in and ask you, what do I need to do to get a similar result in my life? And once you have that question, once the person wants to lean in and ask you for the answers, now you have influence. Guys, I hope this video was useful for you. I want to do some more videos on influence. Typically, this type of format's a little bit different for me to teach leadership and influence. Usually I like to go back and forth. So if you guys like this video on influence, tell me what you like down below. And if I get some good feedback, I'll come in and I'll do another one. But those are the keys to influence. Number one, make sure that they respect you. Number two, overcome the challenges that they're currently facing. And then number three is meet them with where they're at. If you do those three things, guys, your influence should and will skyrocket. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next video. Conquer all.